Alright, so today we're going to be building this custom console table which I found on Crate and Barrel, and I wanted to see how cost effectively I could recreate a similar piece for. So the original that I found had a price tag of $1,500. I wanted to see exactly what I would need to deliver a similar piece without sacrificing any quality. Basically make a better version at a cheaper cost. So before we get into it, just to clarify, this is not a how-to video. This is a how I built this video. So shout out to all the experts and the gurus in the comments. The original that I found was made out of pine, so I picked up some 6-foot 1x8 pine boards from Home Depot, which were $23.50 a piece. And I started out with 8 of them, but ended up needing 5 more, so 13 boards total at $23.50 a piece. Comes out to just over $300 in lumber costs. So the first step is to pick out the best 4 boards in terms of wood grain and knots. And then we're going to use this Craig pocket hole jig, set our material thickness, and start drilling pocket holes. I put about one every 10 inches or so. Just going to help keep the boards together while the glue dries. So now that we got our pocket holes drilled, we're just going to glue everything up and clamp them together with these pipe clamps. And then we're going to start to screw them together using these pocket holes. Alright, so next we need to do a 45-degree bevel cut on 2 of the boards that we use to start making our layered face panel. And I bought this little angle reader, which I'll link in the description, to get an exact 45-degree on our table saw. And we're just going to rip these boards one by one. And right here I'm just slowly checking and adjusting my fence to get a perfect cut without losing any material width. And we're just going to rip number 1, and there's number 2. Next we're going to take these same 2 boards over to the miter saw and do another 45-degree miter cut. This time we're making sure we keep our beveled edge on the outside. And we're just going to flip it around, do the same thing on the other side. Once that's done, we're going to line up these miter cuts and measure out our final length, which is going to be 5 feet, and our final height, which is going to be 30 inches. And I went ahead and made these cuts off camera, and these are going to be the final pieces right here. So what we're going to do now is line up these cuts again, and then we're going to start to draw a reference line, which is going to be 1.5 inches from the outside of each piece, and that is going to be our reveal for each of the layers that will stack up to make the face panel. So once those 2 lines are scribed, we're just going to line them up, and then we're going to use a rounded piece to form the radius. I just used this empty flower pot. And then we're going to take this piece over to our table saw, rip it up until the line starts to curve, and then we will finish off the rest of the cut using the jigsaw. And as you can see here, first 2 pieces of the puzzle are complete with the beveled cut on the outside. And then for our middle piece, since it does have a curved edge on each side, we're not able to rip it on the table saw. So instead, we're going to do a plunge cut with our circular saw. And this would be a lot safer if I actually had a plunge cut track saw, but I do not. So we're just using our circular saw here with an MDF reference guide. And again, we're going to finish off each side with the jigsaw. Now we're going to line up that middle piece we just cut with our 2 leg pieces and draw a reference line on the second board and start putting together the second layered piece. Then I'm just going to continue this line all the way down, keeping that same 1.5 inch measurement as before. And then we'll bring back the flower pot to mark that same radius. And we're just going to cut along those lines. Same concept. Alright, so now we got 2 of the layers complete, and the rest is basically just going to be rinse and repeat of the same process. We're going to do 4 layers total, so we're just going to measure it again on a fresh piece of 1x8 and continue the process. And once I had all 4 of the layer pieces cut out, I went ahead and used them as a template and just traced them onto fresh pieces of 1x8. That way we could basically duplicate them for the other side of the table. And here's what it looks like with all the individual pieces laid out separately. And again, this is only for one side of the table, so there is actually double this amount for the entire project. So this is the top panel for our table, and it's going to need a 45-degree bevel cut on each side. So we're just going to take it to the table saw and make those cuts. And we're going to do the same thing for both of the leg panel pieces as well. So today is assembly day. We got all our pieces cut and labeled, and now it is time to put them all together. So here's what we got. All pieces, I got them numbered. There's 2 of each one for each side. And yeah, we're gonna start putting this thing together piece by piece. All right, so we're just gonna go one panel at a time, starting with the outside most layer. And we're just gonna use pocket holes on each side and some glue to keep this thing together. And the pocket holes we drilled are gonna be on the inside, so they won't be visible when the table is assembled. And here's layer 1 fully assembled. We're gonna do this 3 more times to make our 4 layers, and then we'll glue all those together. So this is just an 1.5-inch guide block I'm gonna use to mark a line every couple inches, just to make sure everything's even and everything has that 1.5 inch reveal. We're going to glue outside that line and then start assembling each layered panel one by one. And we're just going to clamp it together and hit it with our finish nailer every 6 inches or so. And we're making sure to nail it from the back side so that the nail holes aren't visible. And then we're just going to rinse and repeat this process for the next layer and then the 4th and final layer. And once that's done, we will do the exact same thing all over again, and that will be the other side of the table. Alright, so this is our top panel. Taking it over to the miter saw to do another bevel cut, just a 45 on each side. We're going to do the same thing with the other panel, which is going to get cut in half and be used for the side pieces that cover up the legs. So 45s on both of these panels, and then we will start putting them together. That'll make up the base. Alright, so we got our right angle clamp here, got on Amazon. This thing is clutch. Alright, so we got the top and the side base all glued together. Now it's time to dry fit the side panels and see what we're working with. Alright, so this side fits like a glove. This other side just has this tiny little gap right here. We're going to hit this with the sander and just try to get it flush so it fits in there nicely. And then once that was done, we were in the home stretch. Glue on everything, clamp it down, nail it into place. As you can see, I got different sized pieces right here. However, they are equally spaced apart. That was done on purpose. The only reason for that is because I didn't have enough material, so I had to make some different size cuts. But either way, you won't be able to see that once the bottom panel is on, and it'll all get hidden in the middle. So for the bottom panels, these are just going to be square cuts, no miter cuts here. A lot of this isn't going to be visible when you're looking at the table from the top, so we're going to go ahead and nail these in place, just making sure we keep them flush with that outside edge there. Alright, so we're going to use this wood filler to patch up some of these nail holes, and then we will start the sanding process, which took forever, but basically we started at an 80 grit and worked our way all the way up to 220. So for the stain, we use this Midwax Provincial 211 and just a staining pad to wipe it on. and then did a couple coats of polyurethane on top just to give it that shine and kind of lock everything in. And here is the finished product. I think the color came out really nice with the stain we chose. It took a little longer than expected, but it was well worth it in the end. Thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned for the next one.